just have to hope for the best. I might actually watch that movie tonight. I've been wanting to rewatch Edge of Tomorrow and the first Pirates movie. And I might actually put Pirates on while I put the TV stand together, instead of just watching YouTube like I have been. I'm stuck in that like area where I can't decide what I want to watch, so I just end up watching YouTube for a really long time. So, fixing the stand. I won't be recording it. That's too much effort. But it would probably be entertaining though, since there's so much movement and stuff that has to happen. Because at the moment my TV is like sitting on top of some banker's boxes, so that it just wasn't just like on the floor, so that it was off the floor and a bit more level. R.I.P. to your phone, Jimmy. R.I.P. to your phone. Oh, mine's fully charged. Here until I die. That's funny. Yeah, just talking about how I'm gonna put the TV stand and everything together. Mostly, it's just the most annoying thing's gonna be unplugging everything, moving everything out of the way, so I can then put the TV stand in the right spot. And then the most sus part will be getting the TV back up onto the stand. That's going to be the most difficult part, I think. But who knows? I could run into issues in the process of building. So, who's to say? We'll see how it goes. And then, depending on how exhausted I am, I may or may not put the shelving together as well. I might save that, since I'm going to put all the books and everything onto it as well. I might wait and put it together tomorrow night. But it'll be nice to actually have some furniture. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take the car over to pick up the shelving, because I don't want to walk over there and then it be a weird shape that makes it hard to carry back, you know? I'd rather just have the car over there and then it not have been necessary, because then I could still drive back over here with it. Although that honestly will take longer than walking, probably, because of all the one-way roads. But yeah, I'll figure that out later. So I'm not sure. Those other two things are supposed to get here today, but they haven't shipped yet. So how are they going to get here today? Allegedly, at least according to Rookie. Well, technically they're both shipped, but they're not out for delivery, which is usually the indication that they're actually going to get here in time. But, you know. Okay, should we jump into some Reddit stories today? Tasty. Put some music on in the background. So it's not just completely silent. Okay. Alright, okay. No, I haven't done one yet. I just exited Zelda, so I was sitting and chatting for a second. Yeah, all I did in Zelda was beat the Gerudo boss and then like travel a little bit. That was really all I did in Zelda today, which was all I wanted to do in Zelda today. I just wanted to get past that section that was annoying me. I think it was like maybe 30 minutes of Zelda, maybe. So it'll be a very short VOD for that section. Alright. Am I the asshole for losing my passport to avoid babysitting on my vacation? I, 17 female, still live at home. My sister, 28, is married and has 2 kids, 5 and 3. Whenever she comes over to visit my parents... sentences are not written well. Okay. Whenever she comes over to visit my parents, she sticks the kids with me. This wouldn't be a problem except she doesn't visit for an evening. She will come for a week, and for that week, I'm an unpaid nanny. If we go out to a restaurant, I have to entertain them because my mom needs to talk to my sister and brother-in-law. You get the picture. My parents decided that since this was my last summer before I became an adult, we would be going to Disneyland to celebrate my graduation. I asked who was going, and they said it was just the 3 of us. But when we got to the airport, my sister and her family were there. Strangely enough, they were also going to Disneyland. I went into my backpack and grabbed my passport. I put it in my sock. When we got to the international security, I couldn't find it. We looked everywhere. I had to Uber home, and I missed my flight. Oh well, I get to stay home by myself for a week of peace and quiet. My parents were very mad at me for losing my passport. The money they spent on my flight and entrance was wasted. Darn. My mom and sister have both been posting about how hard it is to be at Disneyland with 2 little ones. They both posted that I ruined the vacation by being so thoughtless. My dad says he knows why I did and he understands, but he says I should have let him know so he didn't waste money. He said he would have gone along with my ruse. I feel bad about wasting money, but I've been to Disneyland before, and I will go again later by myself or with friends. It's not the asshole. The dad saying you should have let me know, like, I don't know how... Because she couldn't have let him know because they said that it was just going to be the parents and her. So she had no reason. She didn't know the sister was going to be there until they got to the airport. So there wasn't a way to let him know beforehand because they didn't let her know beforehand that the sister was coming. You know? So the dad saying, I wish you'd let me know beforehand, isn't really like a olive branch that isn't the olive branch that people are going to think it is, you know? Because... she believed it was just going to be her and her parents until she got to the airport and the sister was there. Because the parents told them it was just going to be her and the parents. So, I don't know why the dad would say that when that's not even a possibility for that to transpire, but, you know, whatever. Maybe, but I don't think she's the asshole. I think her family is the asshole for expecting her to just be a free babysitter all the time, especially on a week that's supposed to be there to celebrate her graduation. So, no, definitely not the asshole, in my opinion. I don't know how it was a waste of money for her to not go, but for them to bring a 3 and a 5-year-old. 2 kids, at least one of these kids... The 3-year-old probably won't remember this trip. So why are you bringing the 3-year-old? And the 5-year-old, probably similar situation, but more likely that they'll remember it to some degree. I would have been very upset if it was always expected of me to be the free. Yeah, but it seems this person's a bit more of a pushover. And also was outnumbered, so she would have had to fight three people on this. And instead she gets to spend the week home by herself. So, also, why did you need a passport to go to Disneyland? Are they, like, Canadian or something? Reply with, "Oh, I'm sorry I ruined your vacation. If you had only let me know in advance that you didn't in fact plan this vacation as a celebration for my graduation like you told me, but only wanted me there as your unpaid full-time babysitter, I'd have made more of an effort to be there." Not the asshole. Yeah. American questions. Yeah, I think that that's a big trip, especially if they needed a passport to get there. So, yeah, I know, but there are also Disneys outside of the U.S. Not a lot of them, but there are some. Your dad may support you after the fact, but you couldn't have told him before because he didn't tell you they were coming before you got there. Yeah. There's a Disneyland is in California. Disney World is in Florida. I believe there's also one in Paris. And there's a couple more Disney locations scattered throughout the world. There's a Hong Kong one. There's a Paris one. Is that it? Just those two? There's cruise line stuff, but that doesn't count. There's one in Shanghai. There's one in Hong Kong. There's a Tokyo one, and there's a Paris one. So, there's barely one in Europe. I'm surprised there's only the one in Europe. In all of Europe, there's just the one in Paris. But there's two in China now. Now that Hong Kong is part of China again. And there's one in Tokyo. So there's more of them over there than there are here in the US even, actually. There's one on each side of the US. They're different parks though. They're not all copies of each other. So I imagine each of the parks has different shit going for them. Because there's different things at the two here. I've never been to the one in California. But I know it has different attractions and stuff than the one in Florida. Yeah. The US of A. Woo. Not the asshole. Was going to Disneyland for your graduation even your idea, or was it some kind of way for your sister to take her kids when she could have free babysitting? I'm honestly really disgusted by the way people take advantage of others, especially girls and women, for free babysitting. Yeah, I'd be interested to know whose idea the trip was. If it was really the parents' plan, or if the sister offered up, was like, hey, we could take such and such, we could take OP to Disneyland for their graduation. Next time dear old sis shows up on your doorstep, have a bag packed and ready to go, and see if you can go to a friend or family member's house while she's there. If that isn't possible, lock yourself in your room and only come out to use the restroom and eat, and then immediately lock yourself back in. They'll get the hint. Don't even answer the door. I unplugged my doorbell years ago. That's funny. No, not the asshole. I don't think anyways. This one seems pretty basic. Am I the asshole for telling the lady 2 seats behind me on a plane she was screaming the whole flight? At the airport now, the lady 2 seats behind me on the flight was talking extremely loud the entire flight. I had earplugs in and it was piercing my ears. After the flight landed, the lady across the aisle from me looked terrified and said they're on her next flight. I got up and walked back and said, "You guys are flying to Florida next, right? You may want to consider being a little more quiet on your next flight. I had earplugs in and could hear you screaming the entire time." I turned back around and her boyfriend calls me an asshole, so I turned back and asked what he said. He told me I was an asshole. Then the girl chimes in and says we weren't even talking loud. I showed them the earplugs in my hand and said I had earplugs in my ears 2 seats ahead of you, and I heard all about Frank's wedding, your nail appointment, feeding your dogs, your cell phone bill, the TV shows your mom watches. Am I the asshole? No. That's funny though. If you can hear them from 2 seats back, even without earplugs, they're talking too loud. Yeah. Yeah, it is good that you told them. Someone get the pilot, yeah. But what happened at Frank's wedding? That was a pretty quick one. Okay. We love wedding stories. I love the wedding ones. They're always very interesting. At least to me they are. Tasty. Okay. Am I the asshole for not giving my sister the wedding gift she wanted because of how she treated my girlfriend? Juicy. My girlfriend Naomi and I have been together for over a decade. My younger sister Sarah and my girlfriend have never been super close, but are friendly when we get together. Or I guess, when they were. When Sarah was in high school, Naomi helped her out with some personal things. Sarah got married a few days ago. When Sarah announced her engagement to the family, she asked Naomi to be a bridesmaid, which surprised us a little, but Naomi was very excited because she's never gotten to do it before and probably won't have the chance. I want to be clear that there's no suggestion from either of us Sarah should ask her. It was about 2 seconds after she told us she was engaged. She said that she was so grateful to Naomi for the help when she was younger, and Naomi was very touched. A few weeks later, Sarah posted her bridesmaid proposals brunch. Naomi wasn't there. Sarah never said it to either of our faces directly, but clearly she'd changed her mind. Naomi was hurt, but said she understood because she hadn't expected the ask anyway. That would have been fine, but then a few months later, Sarah asked Naomi to go to the bachelorette party and also come get ready the day of with her friends and bridesmaids. Same thing. Naomi says yes, and even helped her find a good place to go and a rental. A month and a half before the wedding, I'm talking to my mom on the phone, and she mentions that Sarah's at her bachelorette. No mention of it to Naomi. Now I'm kind of pissed because Naomi was clearly very hurt at two invites and then being sort of ghosted. A week before the wedding, Naomi texted Sarah and asked about getting ready and hair and makeup, and Sarah responded acting confused and basically telling her nicely to just come with me. Then I was really pissed. Sarah wanted this really expensive baking mixer thing for a long time, and I'd gotten it for her a wedding gift. My mom had ruined the surprise, so she expected it. But after everything with Naomi, I felt like being petty, and I cut her a check instead and returned the mixer. A few days after the wedding, Sarah texted me saying, "I don't know how to ask this, but what happened to the mixer?" And I responded I didn't know how to ask, but what happened to treating my girlfriend like a freaking human being? Now my brother and new brother-in-law and mom were all texting me saying what the fuck and that I'm ruining her happy time. Naomi, for her part, says I probably shouldn't have done that, but she feels a little vindicated. Am I the asshole? No, if everything went down the way you said it went down, that sounds really fucked. That she kept stringing Naomi along to get little things out of her, like Naomi helping her find a place to go, finding a rental, things like that. And then dropping her like that. That's really fucked up. And just all around rude. Like, it's just mean. Oh, updates. We got an update. Sasha? Who's Sasha? Update, so I talked to Sarah, I assume, and things got more confusing. She said when she asked Naomi to be the bridesmaid, she meant an honorary bridesmaid. She then said for the bachelorette party, Naomi had told her she works most weekends, so she didn't think that Naomi was able to attend and was just helping her to plan. Naomi said that she told Sarah to give her dates so she could take off. Naomi is a very non-confrontational person and has asked me not to bring up the bridesmaid or bachelorette things because she didn't want to feel like she was pushing it at the time, which is why I didn't. The makeup thing, my sister said that Naomi had told her she would do her own hair, so she didn't see the reason for her to come and get ready with them. That doesn't make any sense. Even if she was doing her own hair and makeup or whatever, she could still do it with you, like in the same vicinity as you all getting your stuff done. Okay. My sister is still pissed at me and says I ruined her honeymoon period. She's not on a trip and some other really crappy stuff, so I just hung up on her. She also said that not giving the mixer was rude to her and her husband, which is hilarious because my brother-in-law probably figured out how to turn on the oven. Because my brother-in-law probably figured out how to turn on the oven without neon flashing signs. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Thanks for all the comments, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I wonder if English is this person's first language, because some of that was really hard to read. Not the asshole. Wow, your sister is spacey or just an ass? I'm glad you said what you did. Seriously, I don't know. I've never known her to be mean before. My mom just keeps saying she doesn't want to bother her about it now, and I ruined her honeymoon phase already. Not the asshole. I wouldn't have even given her a check. I would have bought her a whisk or a spatula and told her, oh, mom must have been confused, just like you were when Naomi asked you about getting ready. But I'm petty like that. That's funny. A whisk and a bowl would have been a great mixer, yeah. Or one of those old-timey rotary egg beaters, yeah. All rusty and used. Yeah, I agree with this. I think it's brilliant how you stood up for your girlfriend, and your sister is lucky you got her a gift at all. I agree. I wouldn't have. Not the asshole. My foot's asleep. Hold on. What is this? Okay. Alrighty. Alright, am I the asshole for not wanting to use my college fund to pay for my brother's treatment? Alrighty. Depends. My parents divorced when I was about 7 because my dad had admitted to having an affair. My mom and I moved out of our house and into an apartment while my dad immediately moved his mistress, into our house because she was pregnant with my twin brothers. My mom was devastated, but she quickly picked herself up for us. She went back to school, and as a result, she continued climbing up in her career. My mom adjusted better to going from a double-income household to a single income, and was able to contribute a substantial amount of money to my college fund. My dad, on the other hand, had a harder time, as he now had to support a family of 4, sometimes 5, on a single income, as his wife is a stay-at-home mom. My dad did not have much disposable income, and so did not contribute as much to the fund. I'm going to finish school soon, and I have a good shot at getting into my first choices of college. Unfortunately, my brother Tim was diagnosed with a kidney disease, which has progressed to where he needs to be on dialysis. My dad is drowning in medical debt, so my mom agreed he no longer needed to pay child support. That's fair, I guess. Especially since you're old enough that you're almost going to school, that you're about to go to school. So that's actually makes sense. The specialist has suggested a different treatment for my brother, as most other treatments didn't help or stopped working, and they are running out of options short of a transplant. Not doable at this time. This treatment is not covered by insurance and costs a lot. My dad can't take out a loan due to his debt. My dad and his wife sat me down when I was over and asked if I would be willing to let them borrow my college fund to pay off my brother's treatment. We offered to pay the money back, but I knew they wouldn't be able to. I really don't want to give them the money because I know if I don't get any scholarships, I wouldn't be able to go to college. I want to go without going into debt myself. My future would be at risk, and I know my dad wouldn't help if I needed it. In addition, the money technically belongs to my mom. I can't just give it away, and I know she would refuse to give them the money. My dad and his wife are furious at both my mom and I, and are trying to get me into it. I do feel terrible for my little brother. Am I the asshole? No. Doesn't sound like it. Maybe if he'd contributed to it, but I think not having to pay child support anymore is really, like, that makes the most sense for the thing. Like, that, you know, if you're the only kid that your mom has, then not paying that, or that he has to pay child support for, I should say. If you're the only kid he pays child support for, taking that away, like making that not be an expense every month, depending on how much it is, could be quite helpful. No, I don't think it's fair that you have to do that. That's on your dad to pay for his kids' medical treatments. It's not on you. It's not your kid, you know? My dad does have a second job that he works on the weekend, and his wife homeschools the boys and is a full-time caregiver for my brother. My dad's family disowned him when the affair came to light. He did get some help from his brother and sister, but they can only give so much. I do think I was his last option. His wife did not have a lot of family. Lastly, of course, I would feel bad if something happened to my brother. He's just a little kid, but I would want to help him with my own money, and I can't do that if I start my career debt-free. And I can only do that if I start my career debt-free. I also don't want to risk my own future. Yeah, honestly, that's kind of what I feel. Also, the fact that, just to bring this into politics, because I have to, that the insurance doesn't cover this treatment that could save your brother's life. We love living in America. We love it. It's amazing. I fucking hate insurance companies. They're helpful when they actually do what they're there for, but so often they don't actually help at all and are just... and actually just make things harder. There are so many medical stories out there of like people ending up in a worse situation because they had to fight their insurance for something, or they had to wait for something because their insurance required a waiting period for XYZ, and things like that. So, you know. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Update. So after I called my mom, she left work early and picked me up from my dad's house. She took me for a coffee and I explained what happened. After talking a bit, she said I could either keep the fund as is and not give dad the money, or we can take the money and that dad has contributed and give that back to him. I told her I wanted to give dad back the money he put in. After we finished our coffee, mom withdrew the exact amount dad paid over the years. Mom also matched the amount and added it to give to dad. Oh, well, that's good. That works. I waited in the car while she gave dad the money, and he was upset because the money wasn't enough. Mom told him that this is all he's going to get from her and threatened to take him to court if he and his wife kept harassing me. This is probably the last update, as I'm now low contact with dad for now. Thank you everyone for the genuine support and advice. I mean, I think that's the best outcome. It makes the most sense. You wanted to help your brother, but you didn't want to ruin your future in the process. And I think that's a completely fair way to sort of compromise that, is to, instead of giving them all of your fucking money, only give them the money that he contributed. And the fact that your mom matched it also, like, you know, it's not on you and your mom to fully pay for your unrelated brother's treatment, especially to your mom. Your mom has no relation to the brother. And you only have a relation to your brother because your dad, you share the same father. So, like, I think that's probably the best outcome that you could ask for there. And the best outcome your dad should have expected from you. I think it's asshole-ish of him to expect you to give your entire college fund away. That's a bit fucked. So, no, definitely not the asshole in this situation. Not the asshole. The money isn't yours. Firstly, it was allocated by your mother for a specific thing. You're damn right you're not getting the money back if you loan them. It was grossly inappropriate for your father to ask for the money from you, who I presume is a minor. Yeah. That's true. I forgot that the dad got the house. And mom and OP had to move out. Not the asshole. You have a lovely understanding and clear-eyed view of this. He'd never pay you back, and you'd be stuck under college debt for the next 20 years. Ask your mom to be the bad guy. She can have her divorce attorney send a letter to him telling him the funds are hers to control, and she's not giving up her years of her savings for he and his affair partner's expenses. She can also tell him that she'll take him to court to end his custody if keeps trying to financially abuse a 17-year-old. It's a bit of a feint since you could choose to go no contact at any point, but it might shock him out of this behavior. That's true. He doesn't have access, only mom does, so that's good. Not the asshole. That money was put away to secure your future. Your brother's health issues are sad, but you are not responsible for him. That is his father's job, and it's not fair of them to have asked this of you. I fully agree. Well, the money is his. The money does belong to OP. Because the mother gave OP the money, but yeah. No, not the asshole. Easy. Okay, this is an interesting title, so I'm curious to see where this goes. Am I the asshole for refusing to stop living my life for my kids? A very interesting title. I got divorced a year ago. It was the best decision I ever made. I'm basically a maid for the family. It was awful, not to mention I was working at the same time. Overall, it had been a bit rough for the kids, with the youngest being 14 and the oldest being 17. They're doing well overall, and we basically have a 50-50 split with custody. Goodbye, Jimmy. It's wonderful to have days off, so much new free time when they are not home, so I've been able to explore new hobbies. So I joined a models club. You build models and show them off. We went once a month to show off our creations, and I love it. My 17-year-old messed up this week. He volunteered for a bake sale and didn't tell me and forgot to make cupcakes. I was about to leave for my meeting last night, and he was panicking about not having it done. He asked me if I could do it, and I told him no since I was leaving. He was also leaving to hang out with his friends. This morning, cupcakes were not made since I wasn't doing it. We got in a huge fight about me not helping him out. I wasn't putting my life on hold for a simple mistake that he made. He left for his father's, and my ex also got in an argument with me about it and called me a jerk. I'm sorry, the 17-year-old is responsible for his own shit. He's basically an adult at this point. Like, if you fucked up and scheduled something wrong, it's on you to fix that problem. It's not on your parents to fix that problem. Volunteered for a bake sale and didn't tell me, and forgot to make cupcakes. Huh? Sounds like, to me, he needed to not leave to hang out with his friends. Sounds to me like he needed to take responsibility and skip hanging out with his friends to complete the cupcake baking. Or invite his friends over and they bake cupcakes together and then they go out and hang out. Now the asshole, it's not your fault he volunteered himself to make the cupcakes. Forgot to inform you of this, neglected to make the cupcakes, and then chose to hang out with his friends when he could have canceled and made the cupcakes. Your son needs to learn how to prioritize his responsibilities over his wants. He could have canceled his plans with his friend and learned that neglecting his responsibilities has consequences. Yep. Yeah, he didn't even have to cancel on his friend, invite the friend over, make the cupcakes, which doesn't take much time, and then do whatever they were going to do. Yeah. Now the asshole, he's 17, not 6. He should have asked before volunteering you. He should have told you when he volunteered you. He should have given you the date for your diary? What? He then should have helped you bake them. He could quite easily have gone to the store before school to cover his ass. Instead, he threw a toddler tantrum and ran to his dad's. Your ex should mind his business, as he no longer has any say in how you run your household. Yeah. Lack of prior planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Yep. Yep. I like the point about he's 17, not 6. Because that was my first thought as well, was this is basically an adult at this point. 17-year-olds should be self-sufficient, in my opinion. Yes, they're not technically an adult, so like that, expecting them to be able to afford everything is one thing. But outside of paying for stuff, they should be fully capable of doing pretty much anything at that age, in my opinion. I know I was capable of doing pretty much anything at that point. I couldn't afford shit, but I was pretty self-sufficient and independent at that point. And I feel like you should be by that age. We've got one that Reddit has deemed the asshole, so let's see. This one should be juicy. Am I the asshole for not giving my girlfriend, 25 female, my dinner after I already bought her dinner? Interesting. My girlfriend, 25, and I, 29, live in New York City. There's a popular app where you buy leftover restaurant food. Restaurants advertise surprise bags at a reduced price in order to reduce food waste. Oh, that's cool. The customer doesn't know what they're getting until they pick the food up, but the cost is at least 3 times lower than the normal menu price. E.g., if an entree is usually $24, the restaurant is allowed to charge $8 at most for it. These are hit or miss. Sometimes you get exactly what you want at a greatly reduced price. Sometimes you get something that you otherwise wouldn't have picked from the menu. I ordered a surprise bag from the barbecue place that I was picking up on the way home yesterday. I texted my girlfriend asking if she wanted one, but she said no, she wasn't in the mood for barbecue. However, there was an Indian restaurant right next door that also had surprise bags available on the app, so she ordered one of them. The barbecue was $12 and the Indian food was $10. When I got home, I unpacked the meals to see what we got. I was psyched about my bag. Since I paid $12, I knew the value had to be at least $36, but honestly, the platter looked a lot more expensive. This was a hit. Keep in mind that we live in the West Village, which is the most expensive neighborhood in the most expensive city in the U.S., so $36 for one meal is pretty typical. Jesus fucking Christ. Imagine spending $36. Imagine $36 being the typical cost for one meal. Yikes. No thank you. There are so many reasons to not live in NYC. There's just so many reasons not to live there. The biggest being how expensive everything is. For literally no fucking reason. There were burnt ends, ribs, pulled pork, baked beans, potato salad, bread, onions, and pickles. Ooh, sorry. My girlfriend, however, was less lucky. Her surprise bag only had 6 different types of soup. Only 6 different types of soup? Only? Okay, sure. Only 6 different types of soup. Half of them being varies on cauliflower soup. She was disappointed to say the least. She asked if we should share my barbecue, and I said no, I'm hungry. I offered to buy you some already, and you said no, so I'm going to devour it. She got mad and called me the asshole. I told her if she didn't want soup, she should have ordered something specifically instead of using the surprise bag app. I then told her to just order something off a food delivery app. She said she didn't want to spend the money. Another bit of context is I make a lot more money than her, and I pay all of our rent. I know she's running a bit of a lean financial picture right now. I then tell her that if she doesn't want to pay for delivery, I'll walk to the bodega on our street and can buy her something there. Another bit of context is that we live on a 4th floor walk-up with no elevator, and she broke her leg in a car accident a month ago, so it can be tough for her to get around. She says the grill is probably off there, and all she wants is a hot meal. I tell her she has soup. Anyway, she thinks I'm the asshole, but in my defense, I offered to buy her barbecue to begin with, which she declined. She picked out her own food, and I grabbed it for her on my way home. She wasn't satisfied. I suggested 2 solutions. Am I the asshole? Why did Reddit deem him the asshole? Like, yeah, he could have shared his food, but he's right. He bought the food. He's not obligated to share the food he paid for with her. How is he the asshole here? Also, 4th floor walk up. Nasty. I'm curious what Reddit's reasonings for him being the asshole is. You're the asshole. Come on, man. You both did a surprise bag. Hers didn't work out. You know she can't afford to order something else, but didn't offer to help pay. You offered her crappy bodega food instead. You could have at least split the barbecue and ordered something else to share and split the price. If situations were reversed and you'd gotten a bunch of crap soup while she had a feast, would you really want to sit there hungry waiting for some crappy alternative while she chowed down? You're going to get lots of not the asshole, just that have no concept of being nice and making small sacrifices for your partner. I mean, yeah, but like at the same time, he's correct in that he bought the food. And he offered alternate solutions. Could he have just shared his food? Yes. Was a bit of an asshole move to not? Yes, but I don't think he's the asshole per se. I think it was an asshole move to not share, but he's not in the wrong for not sharing. You know what I mean? Like that. Am I making sense? Yeah, having a broken foot in a 4-story apartment with no elevator sucks, because that means she's basically trapped inside. So what all food did he have again? I don't remember. There was a lot of information on the post. How much food did he have? There were burnt ends, ribs, pulled pork, baked beans, potato salad, bread, onions, and pickles. I mean, that's probably one person's worth, but I'm not sure. Because, like, he just says he has this. It doesn't say how much of it he has. Yeah, he could have shared, but, like, I'm gonna say everyone kind of sucks here. I don't know if anyone's the asshole, though. Because the girlfriend was being picky. She said no to the barbecue. Ordered her own shit. Was unhappy with her own shit, and then wanted some of his shit. When he offered to get her some of the same stuff. So, I think it's an everyone sucks here, because it was a bit of an asshole move to not share. But she did turn down his barbecue initially and order something separate, and then wasn't happy with what she ordered. That's on her. Yeah, I would have shared my food personally, but it was kind of an asshole move for her to then demand his food just because she didn't like the food she got. It was then also an asshole move of him not to share. You know what I mean? Like, everyone kind of sucks here. I personally would have shared my food. That's just who I am, but I wouldn't have been obligated to share my food. You both gambled, she happened to lose. However, you're in a presumably loving relationship with this woman. She politely declined and took her own road to eat. It's not like she expected you to go out of your way to go to a different place. when she hit zilch on her bag and you hit gold. That's a prime time to pool the meals and divide them up to help a bit to get her some good food. She can't function at full capacity with a broken leg and didn't demand your food either. Yes, she did. She asked if we could share my barbecue, and I said no. Yeah, I would say he's an asshole for refusing to share. But he's also in the right to, like, he doesn't have to share his shit. Am I missing something here? Technically not the asshole, but I wouldn't want you as a friend or boyfriend. Yeah. Technically not the asshole, but dude, if my husband ordered food at dinner and didn't like what arrived, I would absolutely offer to share mine with him. Yeah, I think it's a technically not wrong, but still the asshole. Yeah. That's what I said. Yeah, everyone sucks here. Yeah, I didn't even think about, like, how they could have pooled their food together and each had some soup, each had some pork. My brain, I completely forgot that that was a thing that could happen. That they could have just both shared food. I like the food sharing app thing, though. That's a really good thing to have, especially in a place like New York City, where there are so many different food places and there's probably so much food waste. So I'm excited. I'm happy to hear that that's a thing, especially in a city like New York. So just food waste is a big problem here in the U.S. Yet also people are starving on the streets because, you know, everything makes sense. Yeah, I think they could have shared and compromised, so he's definitely the asshole there, but I think the thing that was throwing me off was, like, because you always hear, like, the stereotypical of, like, oh, she says she's not hungry, but then she wants some of my food, you know? Which is kind of a shitty thing to do. It's like, say, oh, no, I'm not hungry, and then ask for the other person's food. Now, if you're in a relationship, it's kind of expected for you to, like, not be a dick to each other. So... But I think I'm going to go with everyone sucks, because she took the bargain, she took the risk of ordering the cheap bag, and then was unhappy with her risk. Like, that's on you, babe. I'm sorry to tell you that, but, you know, like I said, I would have shared my food, especially with so much of it, because it seems he had a lot of food. So... Technically not the asshole, but in a relationship, you're the asshole. If you ever plan on getting married, you might want to reconsider when to be selfish and when to be not. Yeah, I definitely read that right. When not to be. He offered to go down and get food. He offered to go get her food. He offered to go back out and get her food, so... Yeah, this. I could see my husband being annoyed in this situation, given that I'd said no to wanting barbecue and now wanting his barbecue. But even if it was begrudgingly, he would have split both meals equally so we could share the soup and the barbecue. Yeah, this is exactly what my brain was trying to comprehend, like trying to express, but failing to do so. Which is why my brain goes to everyone sucks here. Because it was kind of annoying for her to do what she did, but then it was also asshole-ish of him to do what he did. So I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. Final answer. Where are the juicy ones? Why am I so yawny? Like, I know I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, because the same thing happened last night that's been happening, where I'm tired, but then the moment I lay down to go to sleep, my body and stuff, like, wakes up. Like, my body feels awake, and my brain starts, you know, thinking all the thoughts, even though I was just falling asleep a few seconds ago. It happened again last night, so it took me a while to fall asleep. So I probably only got, like, 6 hours of sleep last night. But still, this is ridiculous. Oh wow, that was the top for the month. Wow. I am so sorry, you all, for fucking yawning all the time. Alright, this one seems good. Would I be the asshole if I went on vacation instead of going to my brother's wedding? Juicy. My brother Tom, 36 male, and I, 26 female, have never really had a solid relationship. Due to our age gap, we didn't spend much time together, and by the time I was old enough to develop a personality, he was moved out of the house. For the last 2 years, my brother and his fiancée, Sarah, another Sarah, 32 female, have been planning their wedding, and it's coming up in September. I was asked to be a bridesmaid. I figured I was only asked as a courtesy since I'm her soon-to-be sister-in-law, but I still took it seriously. I've been a bridesmaid for the last 2 years, and just a few weeks ago, I managed to save up to buy the $800 bridesmaid dress. I don't care who it is. I'm not spending $800 on an outfit I'm gonna wear one time. I don't care what the event is. I don't care who the event's for. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. God, no. Overall, in the last 2 years, between group outings and parties, dinners, lunches, clothes, etc., I spent thousands of dollars. Eventually, all the girls in the wedding and I became extremely close, and I started to get hyped for the wedding. Sarah recently got close with her brother's wife, Becky, 30 female. Last week, she dropped the ball on me that she no longer wants me to be a bridesmaid and would prefer if Becky would take my place. It broke my heart a little, but it's her wedding, and it's not my place to tell her how to run it, so I said it was fine. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. I'd be like, that's fine, but you owe me $800 for the fucking dress I had to buy. It broke my heart a little, but it's her wedding, and it's not my place to tell her how to run it, so I said it was fine. Yesterday, I went to my brother's house to pick up the bridesmaid's dress, and was going to see if I could return it since it was within the time frame. Sarah was completely appalled and said that Becky was going to wear it since she and I are the same size. I said that would be fine, but they would have to pay me the $800 for it. Sarah said that Becky couldn't afford it, and I should just be nice and let her use it, and said I could keep it after the wedding. No! No! She didn't come back to take it with her so she could keep it. She came back to take it so she could return it and get her fucking money back. Huh? Absolutely not. I explained that I am not just giving away the dress, and I'm not ever going to use it after the wedding. After some bickering back and forth, I just ended up taking it and leaving. My brother said Sarah tried to compromise with me and say I could be the assistant flower girl. And I felt offended at the offer. I said no, and then said that Becca could give me $250 for it, and again, no. Again, no, and I returned the dress and got a full refund. Yes, you shouldn't have even offered the lower price. Absolutely. Becky can either pay for the dress, because you saved up for 2 years to buy the dress. She said earlier, I've been a bridesmaid for the last 2 years. Just a few weeks ago, I managed to save up to buy the $800 bridesmaid dress. So you've been saving up for that dress for a hot second. If Becky couldn't afford it, then Sarah should have helped her buy the fucking dress from her then. I told them I understand that it's their wedding, but they're being extremely disrespectful to me, and I don't need to deal with it, and I'm not going to the wedding. Today, my coworker said she had an extra round-trip plane ticket to go to Miami, and that she'll sell it to me for half price. Plus, I would have to pay for half the hotel, and I can go hang out with her in Florida. The only downside is that I'll be in Florida for the week of my brother's wedding. So will I be the asshole if I just go to party in Miami instead of going to my brother's wedding? No. No, you're not. You're really not. Go enjoy Florida. Go enjoy Florida. Absolutely not the asshole. Jesus fucking Christ. The sheer audacity of people. Not the asshole, go to Miami. A wedding is not an event where a soon-to-be sister-in-law and your own brother crap all over you and you have to smile and take it. Yeah, not to mention the fact that she said they're not really even close because of the 10-year age gap. A 26-year-old assistant flower girl? Really? How insulting. Yeah. Not the asshole. They disrespected you, so you don't have to be there if you don't want to. They literally removed you as a bridesmaid after they had you spend so much money. I'm proud of you for returning the dress instead of letting them walk all over you and take it for free. You might not be able to ever be close with his brother if he finds out that you chose partying in Miami over his wedding. This also may affect what parents or other family members think of you, but I'm not sure if any of this is relevant. The OP is 26 and the brother is 36. And the fiance is 32. So this is late 20s to mid 30s. Fuck them. They did you dirty. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. OP says, I would also lose out on the $800 dress. And if I was going to be the assistant flower girl, I would have to buy another dress. This whole ordeal has stressed me out. Maybe I just need to relax in Miami. Yeah. Yeah, the assistant flower girl thing, I think, is the most disrespectful part of this. Because assistant flower girl, like this person said, is the title you make up to appease a child when they're not given their own special role. Yeah. Because someone up here said, if it's the original plan, an adult flower girl or boy can rock it. I've seen people do dances, throw petals, I guess, and absolutely dial the silliness up to 11. I've seen it as well. They're quite fun videos to watch on TikTok. But doing it as an afterthought, potentially following a little girl, hell no. Go to Miami, have a good time. Absolutely. My body's making weird noises. Go to Miami, not the asshole. Your brother and sister-in-law are being terrible. They could just add another bridesmaid if there was suddenly a person that needed to be included. And at the very least, they should be paying you for the dress and other costs you already incurred for being a bridesmaid. Go sit on the beach in Miami, have a fun cocktail, swim in the ocean, and dance in the bars. You won't regret it. OP said the reason they wouldn't just add another bridesmaid is because there, quote, isn't enough room at the table. Right, so the groom's sister is the bridesmaid that gets kicked out of the wedding party. It's so rude of them to spring this on you last minute and have the audacity to ask you to donate an $800 dress to the usurper. Incredibly rude. Yeah, definitely not the asshole. Ooh, juicy title. Am I the asshole for denying an older woman shelter from a storm? Juicy. I, 23 female, and am an avid hiker in Australia. Last week, I encountered a middle-aged woman around 50 years old as I was coming off a trail. She was walking in my direction as I came out of the bush. It was strange to see her. The sun was almost down and the weather was starting to turn. Also, this was an intermediate collection of trails at best, difficult even for me at worst. And she didn't look super athletic. My point is, my, quote, weird radar was going off already. She walked up to me and stopped, standing too close for my comfort, gestured toward the clearing where my car was parked and asked whether it was my car. No greeting or anything. When I looked over, something made me uncomfortable. There were no cars other than mine in sight. The trail I was on isn't crazy far from civilization, but it's not a walk away. One of those highway rest stops that's there for the trail and a few parking spots. No way she could have gotten there without driving. Spooky. I let her know that yes, it was my car, to which she responded something like, perfect, there's a storm coming, I can't be caught in it, and I need to get home. She was very matter of fact. It seemed like she already had decided what would happen. Without waiting for my response, she started striding for my car. I'm glad I always lock my doors because she would have hopped right in the passenger seat had the door opened. As I was walking over to it, I went after her trying to explain I wasn't sure it was a good idea for her to hitch a ride, asking why she was out here in the first place. I was talking to a brick wall until she realized the car was locked, at which point she turned around with this look of anger and frustration in her face. She starts ranting the same stuff as before. I need to get home. A storm is coming. I cannot be caught in it. Why don't you get it? I was very confused at this point and a little scared, as this woman was now a barrier between me and my vehicle. I told her something like, I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable with having a stranger in my car. She stared me down for a few seconds, I guess trying to gauge her chances at asking again. And just like that, the anger drops from her face and she's silent. I was really uncomfortable. I asked if I could call someone for her, if there was another way to help. She starts walking towards me, scary, but then right past me. I'm still asking her questions, then just saying things like hello and excuse me with no response. She walked to the other end of the rest stop and maintained eye contact with me as she sat on a log and then just stared at nothing. I didn't follow her. I got into my car really shaken up and drove away. As soon as I was back in cell range, I called fire and rescue and they said they would send someone out. I was scared for my safety in the moment, but she was just some woman alone in the middle of nowhere. Am I the asshole for refusing this strange woman a ride / shelter in my car? No! Sounds like a fucking horror film. Jesus Christ. I've heard too many creepy stories about hiking where someone who was hiking by themselves was approached by some creep in the woods, and just got all of the bad vibes off that person. No, if your body was giving you bad vibes, then trust those bad vibes, especially when you're out in the fucking woods in the middle of fucking Australia. Like, no, always trust your gut in situations like this, because you have that gut instinct for a reason. I'm a very big believer in the gut instinct when it comes to survival situations, kind of like this one. And OP said that my weird radar was already going off. When I looked over, something made me uncomfortable. There were no cars other than mine in sight. Like, multiple times OP mentioned a weird radar or like something making her feel uncomfortable. And this feels like one of those situations that you hear about where people use it to try to get like try to get someone like kidnapped. There was a thing I read, I think it was on Twitter, or it was an article I read, where a woman went missing fairly recently, like in the past couple weeks, after stopping to help a little kid on the side of the road. And all of the comments were like, oh fuck, I hope we find her soon, because she's probably being trafficked, because that's something that traffickers do, is use kids or women to lure in their victims. Which is like super terrifying, that you can't even stop to help a child, you know, that you won't always feel safe stopping to help someone who's in need because you don't know if it's a trap or not. But it's possible this woman is just fucking crazy. That the 50-year-old woman in this story is just like creepy and just like weird. And that OP was just getting weird vibes because the woman is just strange, and that OP wasn't in any danger. But if her spidey sense was tingling, she should listen to her spidey sense. That's kind of how I feel about it. Not the asshole. I think calling fire and rescue was a kind thing to do. Yeah, the whole situation didn't sound or feel safe. Better to let a professional handle it. My alarm bells went off just reading the post. OP was right to do exactly as she did. Not the asshole. You have to listen to your gut instinct. Glad she moved away from between you and your car. It was very kind of you to call fire and rescue. If things had gone sideways, would anyone have known where you were? That woman could have had a weapon. Anything could have happened. Gut instinct tells us something for a reason. Yep. Or someone else was hiding nearby. Situations like this can go sideways really fast. Exactly. In these games, sometimes the house they have you drive to is an ambush spot. Yeah. I taught my child to always trust instincts about people, especially when alone. If in doubt, get out of there. Don't what if or feel shame later. Also, she had shelter. If this had been a man, I doubt you'd second guess yourself. Exactly. 100%. Not the asshole. The gift of fear is a real thing. Yep. The Gift of Fear is the name of a book, apparently. Yeah, definitely not the asshole. I'm glad she listened to her gut instinct. Not the asshole. All right, next one. All right. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my boyfriend's food on his birthday and get him banned from a restaurant? Juicy. I, 18 female, have been dating my boyfriend John, 20, for a little under a year. We have a pretty toxic-free relationship, but there's quite a bit of tension when it comes to me being a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian since I was 11 and have strict morals around it. The one thing John has a problem with is me refusing to spend money on meat. Ever since I started making my own money, I swore to myself that I would never spend a cent of it on meat. On our dates, we usually split the bill, and sometimes he pays for it all. I told him if he orders something meat-free, I'd happily pay for both of us, but he never does. When he pays for my food, it's when I've spent money on the activity, normally concerts and festivals. That's me paying $120 on tickets and him spending maybe $50 on food. It says euros, but I'm just gonna keep saying dollars. His birthday was a few days ago, and we went out for dinner at his favorite fancy restaurant. He got the most expensive steak they had, along with a side of salad and a bottle of wine. When we finished our food, I asked the waiter to split the bill, and John looked at me shocked. He asked if I was joking, and I said no. Then he told me he thought I was going to pay since it was his birthday, and he didn't budget for the meal. I asked him why he thought I'd pay, since I've been very clear about my rule, but he couldn't give me a reason other than it being his birthday. Yeah, no, if you have a very clear rule of I don't pay for your meal if you eat meat, I don't know why the fuck he would think that you were suddenly going to change that just because it's his birthday. I told him I'd pay for the wine and the side salad, but he needed to pay for the steak. He was furious with me and stormed off to the bathroom. I paid for my meal, the wine, the salad, and waited for him to come back. He didn't. After waiting 20 minutes, I left. I found him sitting on a bench near where we parked the car. I asked him why he left and reminded him he needed to pay. He looked shocked when I said that, and he asked me if I didn't pay. I told him I paid for everything but the meat, and he lost it. He started yelling at me, telling me I was selfish and that I needed to grow up. I stayed calm and told him he needed to go back and pay. He scoffed and walked away. I ended up driving home without him. Now he's saying it's my fault that he can't show his face in his favorite restaurant since he dined and ditched. It's a pretty small restaurant, so he'd 100% be recognized and kicked out. So am I the asshole? To the people commenting about me not treating him on his birthday, yes, I did. I even dipped into my savings for his present. I did not, quote, take him out for dinner. He was the one that suggested it. No, you're definitely not the asshole here. He sounds like a dick. Dump him. Now the asshole, ignoring the vegetarian stuff, who the fuck orders the most expensive steak possible and then expects their partner to pay for them without having checked prior, and then storming off to the bathroom expecting that to pressure you into paying for it. OP, I hope you can see all the huge red flags here. Yep. True, OP's 18. So. Now the asshole for refusing to pay for a steak. You're the asshole to yourself for staying with someone who acts like this and treats you so poorly. Yeah, fair. Not the asshole, he thought he had trapped you into paying for meat. Good for you for sticking up for yourself and your boundaries. Yeah. Here I thought America was a safe place. What gave you that impression? What about watching my streams is giving you the impression that America is a safe place? Huh? Someone said everyone sucks here, you both sound obnoxious. Someone replied, lol, she has a boundary. Is it super strict? Yes. But sounds like she's been very clear about it and he just doesn't like it. Edit, I should say the boyfriend is clearly the asshole even if OP and I wouldn't necessarily get along. Yeah. That's too long. I'm not reading all of that. Yeah, I would say they're fundamentally not compatible, just like the other person said. She is a vegetarian with very strict rules about it, and he doesn't seem to give a shit. So I would find somebody else to date who is not like that. I personally couldn't date someone like OP, as I like meat far too much. But I fully understand her boundary of, like, if I was dating this person, I probably would choose not to, especially if I knew how strict they were about not eating meat, or not, like, eating it, not paying for it, any of that. I probably wouldn't choose to date that person strictly based on that, just because I feel like that would eventually cause problems, you know? But let's say on the off chance we were dating, you know, if I was dating this person, then I'm not going to expect them to pay for me, because they've made it very clear that that's not something they will ever do. Like, it's a very well-expressed boundary. I don't know why that's so difficult for some people to understand, you know? Not the asshole. Next. Okay. We may not go till 6. I'm kind of tired. It's only 4 o'clock. Oh. I might end at like 5 and then take a nap. Let's see. All right. We'll see how it goes. Meat. Yes. I love meat. Meat's so tasty. All right. Am I the asshole for pulling out of planning my sister's wedding, causing her to lose her venue? Depends on the reason. As a wedding planner who has been in the industry for many years now, my 31 male party trick amongst close friends and family is being able to guess how long my clients' marriages will last with pretty alarming accuracy. If you ask anyone in the industry, there are specific indicators while working with a couple that allow us to be able to gauge compatibility. I can usually get down to around a 6-month window when predicting the photos of each other will disappear from socials. This is not me taking joy in crashing and burning of relationships. Working in this career field can actually leave you feeling jaded about relationships in general, which is why I'm reluctant to work for friends and family. The specific stress wedding planning puts on some people's... Hold on, let's try that again. The specific stress wedding planning puts on some people/couples can bring out the worst in them that you don't see in everyday life. Hold on, let me take a drink of my smoothie. All right. Hold on. Sorry, had to cough. My sister is getting married early next year and practically begged me to plan for her despite my stance on clients I know personally. I finally gave in and we began the process back in March. Last week, while we were meeting and finalizing a few things, she asked me about the party trick I mentioned. She said since I'd been working with her and her fiance for months now, I could give my prediction as to how long they were going to last. I laughed and tried to move on. I thought she was joking, but she continued to press the issue. After her continually bothering me about this for at least 15 minutes when I'm trying to move on, I do have work outside of my specific appointment with her that I needed to get to. I finally told her that I thought they would last forever. She claimed she didn't believe me and wanted my real number, so I shrugged and told her the truth, 1.5 years. She was livid. Jesus. She asked. If she didn't want the answer, she shouldn't have fucking asked. She was livid. I felt incredibly uncomfortable with the whole ordeal, especially with how she respected my boundaries with how little she respected my boundaries in what is supposed to be a professional setting, and just tried to usher her out of my office. Instead, she began ranting about my own marriage and said she gives us until the end of the year before we break up, and accused me of being a homewrecker. She finally left, and I emailed her saying I would no longer be involved in planning. I give her the contact info for all of the vendors we were working with. I told her the venue would no longer be available as only... Oh my god, hold on, I can't read. Let me start that sentence over again. I gave her the contact information for all of the vendors we were working with, but told her the venue would no longer be available as they only book to people they have existing relationships with, and my involvement was necessary. I have to, quote, break up with clients. I have had to, quote, break up with clients before, but this felt particularly rough. She has now told our parents that I am purposefully sabotaging her wedding, and that I was unforgivably rude to her when she just asked a playful question. I feel very silly for letting a person disrespect my boundaries over and over again, something I typically wouldn't tolerate, but now I'm wondering if I am in the wrong. You are not in the wrong. She was being a bitch. She was pushing your boundaries, asking a question, and then when you gave her the answer to her question, she turned around and bitch slapped you for no fucking reason. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Update in a year and a half with whether your number was accurate. If OP's sister can actually get married, that is. Yeah. If you push and push to be told information, you alone are responsible for the consequences of hearing that information. Yep. Now the asshole, she pushed, you gave a perfectly acceptable answer of forever, to which she didn't like, and that she wanted the, quote, real answer. But what would she have been happy with? 20 years? 10 years? It sounded like she is a constant boundary pusher. You didn't want to plan the wedding, but she pushed it. You didn't want to answer the question, but she pushed it. This is on her. That said, don't expect your family to see it that way. They probably will take her side because people enable shitty behavior from brides. Good luck. Yeah. There is a reason for the saying, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Sister gets mad and starts unleashing hellfire against OP when she didn't get the answer she wanted to hear, and yet still can't see her own behavior as the reason why OP have such an honest response. Reading the story, I'm thinking the year and a half was a generous guess. There are some people saying everyone sucks here, and I just don't agree. You're the asshole for the loss of venue. There are ways you could have backed off and still salvage that. Leaving her in the lurch was not cool. Everyone sucks here regarding the breakup prediction. Both sides are terrible. Her for pushing you, and you for even advertising this quote-unquote trick and giving in. I disagree. I think it's a really cool trick, personally. Like, a lot of times I can look at something and have because of the job that I work, I can look at like a box of something and I can usually guess about how heavy it's going to be. Because I've spent so much of my time picking up boxes and throwing boxes and looking at items and having to know how much they weigh and things like that. So there are just certain like tricks and shit you learn and pick up through your job. And I think being able to utilize that trick that you work so hard to, like, inadvertently obtain is completely reasonable. And while this is a far more personal trick than, like, knowing how much things weigh, you know, knowing how long a marriage is going to last, is kind of a psychic thing, which is, I think, really cool, actually. Especially because if you're planning someone's wedding and you realize these people are not right for each other, you're always welcome to offer that info, even if it's not really your place, and just be like, hey, I've worked with couples like you all before, and they didn't really last that long. I wish you all the best, but maybe double think this decision. You know, like, I mean, maybe that's not their place. I don't know. I've never planned a wedding before, so, but I don't know. I think it's a cool trick. I think you miss an opportunity with your sister. Either she feels uncertain in her choice, or she thinks you disapprove of her choice. She was ineptly looking for a real connection with you, so of course the flip year and a half hurt. Alternative responses: why are you worried about this? Do you think I don't like the groom, or do you have doubts? How long do you think you'll be together? I would never presume to judge a relationship, but sometimes you seem unhappy about X. Is that still worrying you? OP responded, this is a very good point. Once things calm down, I think I'll maybe feel things out in the vein of these responses if I can. I'm curious to know more about what OP has said. Why does anyone in your family know about this skill, and why did she call you a homewrecker specifically? OP replied, I met my husband when he was the best man at a wedding I was planning for. I was incredibly busy and immediately shut down most of his flirting attempts. He was in a dying relationship at that point with a woman he does not look back fondly on. We played cat and mouse for a while. I very specifically remember telling him I only date men, not boys, that he could never handle me. There was no overlap in these relationships, but that bride and groom I planned for, who have since become amazing friends of mine too, like to credit me for giving him a kick in the ass to finally leave what was a very unhealthy dynamic. The homewrecker comment was a gross exaggeration of what actually happened, which was mostly just me doing my job while someone had a crush on me. Even if I did have the facts to back up calling someone that, I would never do so in a professional environment. A lot of lines were crossed, or maybe one singular line was crossed by miles. Either way, not good. I disagree with the rest of the comments under this. OP did say this about their quote unquote like their talent or whatever. My relationship indicators are all about compatibility when it comes to mutual decision making from two people about to enter a lifelong commitment. They are not me tallying up how much baggage someone has. We all have things we see in potential partners that turn us off from initially entering into relationships, and they're all valid. If this is something that would turn you off, that's fine. You are never required to start a romantic partnership with someone. Talking about his husband. I'm gonna go with not the asshole. Purely because she played stupid games and won stupid prizes. That's just how I feel. Oh my god. Go back. There we go. Okay. Next post. Am I the asshole for not helping my family's restaurant because my brother was being paid and I wasn't? Okay, OP is a 17-year-old female. So my parents recently came into a fair bit of money, inheritance from one of my mom's elderly relatives, I think, and decided to buy out a local ice cream shop that was going out of business. They love that place because it's where they met and has tons of sentimental meaning to them. They also hired my 18-year-old brother to work there because they want him to have a job experience before going off to college. They didn't offer to hire me, and I didn't ask because I already have a fast food job. Anyway, my house is pretty close to the shop, and my friends and I decided to meet up there yesterday for ice cream and to hang out. For reference, we're a group of 4 high schoolers. It was pretty busy, so we got in line. About a minute in, my brother came out of the back and waved me over. He handed me an apron and asked me to help out his coworker in the back because they had to clean the machines ASAP, but my brother had to open a second register because of how busy it was. I refused on the grounds that I wasn't being paid. Yeah, that's illegal. And he said that I had to help out because it was the family business and because of how swamped the place was and how panicked his coworker was. He even offered to let my friends skip the line if I helped out for 10 minutes to give his coworker a hand, and I said I owed it to him to help out because I, quote, brought such a big group in, end quote. I decided that would cause a scene in a packed shop and refused again. He huffed and waved me off, then went to open the second register. I went back to my friends and the rest of our meetup went well, but my brother kept giving me dirty looks until we got our cones and left. Later that night, my parents confronted me and said that what I did was petty. They told me to work a shift the next day to make up for it, but backed off once I reminded them that I have an actual job that I was scheduled to work pretty much all day the next day. I ended up getting off scot-free, however my whole family maintains that I'm petty and lazy, and now I'm wondering if they're right. No, it would be illegal for them to have you work, especially since you're still a minor. You're still 17. So it would be illegal for them to have you work without paying you. Doubly so because you're fucking, 17. Not the asshole, holy fuck, this is one of the most black and white situations I've ever seen. If brother was just working to support the business and not taking salary, then I could see how your family could expect you to step up and contribute, but he gets paid and your family expects you to work for free? I think slavery was abolished, 200 years ago? I agree, rookie. I agree. Not the asshole. The bottom line is you don't have to work if you're not getting paid. You're not an employee. You have no obligation to that shop. If your parents wanted someone to help your brother, they could have come in themselves. Yup. Not the asshole. Why can't your parents come in and help out when needed? Why have they bought a business and think they don't need to work in the business? No pay equals no work. 100%. That's true. Not the asshole. Even if family businesses have to pay employees when it's their kid, you're not trained for it. Also, this whole situation sounds like your family is being nuts. And someone replied saying they bought a failing ice cream store. Of course they're nuts. This is true. Whew. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Yeah, that was a pretty easy one. Not the asshole. Alrighty. Oh. I'm so tired of the involuntary stretching. My nose is itchy today. Making me very sneezy. Alright. Am I the asshole for forcing my stepdaughter to cut her hair? I, 31, met my husband, 34, 8 years ago. We've been married for 6 years. He has an 11-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. I work from home, so I mainly end up taking care of her. I have since she was young. We have a generally good relationship, and she stays at her mother's most weekends. She has incredibly long blonde wavy hair just past her bottom. It is a nightmare to take care of. It frequently tangles, and she always needs help brushing and styling it before school. I'm not a morning person and do not like having to wake up early to do a kid's hair. It is expensive to maintain as she requires more products than don't have a kid. Then don't have a kid. I do not like having to wake up early to do a kid's hair, then don't have a kid. Fuck off then. Do I need to read the rest of this post? She insists on using hair oils which can cost around $11 and that only lasts a few weeks. That's really not that bad. She also insists she has to use curly hair shampoo instead of regular shampoo and conditioner, which is often over $10 per bottle, and she goes through it at a fast rate. She won't use a regular brush on it as she insists it breaks her hair and hurts, so she uses a wide tooth comb, which takes a long time to brush when she could be doing other more productive things such as homework or helping me with chores. You said she has long, blonde, wavy hair. I know people who have blonde hair that is curly to the point that they have to use hair products that are typically, used for, like, black hair. Like, I know several people who have incredibly curly blonde hair. Now, you say she has blonde wavy hair, but it's still possible that what you consider wavy is considered curly. It wouldn't surprise me if she does actually need that conditioner and those different brushes. I decided that she has become obsessed with her hair and do not want her to become vain, so I decided it needs to be cut. Ma'am, that is not your decision. I don't see it as a big deal, as I've always had shoulder-length hair, as my hair does not grow very fast, and I get frequent trims. It's a lot more practical. This is so fucked. There are so many... I need my flags, because this is just... I didn't think it would be a big deal because I have shorter hair. Ma'am, you're cutting her hair, not your hair. The fuck? What the hell? I don't understand. I don't understand. Clearly, this kid... Clearly, this kid cares a lot about her hair. So I think that's pretty... it's pretty obvious that she would care about having a cut. Just get the biological mom involved and we have a drama. Yeah, honestly. I took her to a hairdresser as normal. In the car on the way down, she said she wants to make sure the hairdresser doesn't cut too much. I politely explained that I would like her to cut her hair to shoulder length as it has become a burden. At first, she thought I was joking, but then she realized and she started to cry. When we got to the salon, the hairdresser was reluctant to cut her hair due to her tears, but I explained the trouble we have with maintaining it and assured her cutting it would be the best for her. In the end, the stylist agreed and cut her hair. The stylist braided her hair, then cut it. She kept it. Her hair was now just past shoulder length and looked a lot darker. The car journey home was silent. I offered her McDonald's, but she refused. She went straight to her room when we got back. What a fucking awful person. Oh my god. My husband went up to see her when he got home and apparently found her on the bed sobbing, holding her old hair. My husband immediately called her mother to come and collect her. As soon as my stepdaughter was out the door, he started yelling. Her mother also came in and gave me a mouthful. I explained my reasoning, but my husband wouldn't budge. He said if I had an issue, he would have done her hair in the mornings himself, and that he didn't mind paying for the products. He was so furious, he said he no longer trusts me around his daughter and doesn't know if he can be with a woman who he doesn't trust with her. This broke my heart. Yeah, he should fucking leave your bitch ass. What the hell? I didn't mean her any harm. I was just so tired, and I'm trying to reduce stress. I've always been the one to raise her and her brother, and I'm just exhausted. Am I the asshole? Yes, you're a terrible person, and I hope he fucking divorces you. Oh my god. The fact that she even has to ask this is the biggest thing. Like, the fact that this is something that she's like, am I in the wrong for this? For violating my child's body, even though it's not technically her kid. She's been raising this kid for the past 6 years, so it's kind of her kid. Like, I violated my child's bodily autonomy and went against her wishes to do something to her that she didn't want. Am I the bad guy in this situation? No shit, you're the bad guy. Oh my god, I wonder if the comments have been turned off. You're the asshole, you're the asshole, you're the asshole, you're the fucking asshole. How dare you cut her hair and take away her autonomy just because you've decided she is vain? What in the absolute hell? I am seriously at a loss for words that you even have to ask whether or not this was an asshole thing to do. Shame on you, seriously. Truly. You're the asshole. In fact, you're one of the biggest assholes I have ever seen on this subreddit. I would categorize what you did as abuse. The child did not want her hair cut, the salon didn't want to do it, and you just couldn't be fucking bothered to speak to one of the girl's parents, both of whom have a relationship with her. You made her hair all about your opinions. On top of that, you describe as being what you describe as somehow being a pain in the ass, special products comes, etc., is actually a very clear indication that the girl has been taking care of her hair well. It's not like she just let it grow and did nothing to maintain it. How dare you make this all about you? Who the fuck cares if you don't like combing her hair in the morning? The solution to that is either have her do it herself or talk to her father. Cutting off the hair based on your own conveniences and tastes is absolutely abhorrent. You abused a child just so you could sleep a little longer in the morning. You're an enormous, entitled, uncaring asshole. I hope for the child's sake that your husband wakes up to what kind of person you are and cuts you off entirely. Fully agree. Fully agree. I fully agree. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is textbook abuse. Like, that's what this is. Someone replied to that last comment saying, I'm a guy, and for a while in my 20s, I was still living with my parents. I had long hair, and they didn't like it long. At one point, my parents decided they were tired of my long hair, so they gave me an ultimatum. It's getting cut tomorrow, or you're moving out right away. As I thought I had a choice, basically, cut it short or be homeless. And when I say cut it short, my mom is the one who did the cutting. She had cut my hair before, and at my request, left it longer than she wanted to, but she always cut it shorter than I wanted her to. Well, this time she went even shorter, and somehow she didn't understand why I was angry. She was shocked when I stormed off the moment she was done without being bothered to look at a mirror. Yeah. Yeah, especially for a kid, one of the main aspects, like even for not kids, like for people who feel like they don't have any control in their life, the one thing they always feel they do have control over is their hair. That's why you'll see people who are having like a mental health crisis and stuff go get their hair cut because it's something they can control. It's something they have control over. They might not be able to control their life spiraling out of control, but they can control the length of their hair, the color of their hair, stuff like that, because it's part of their body, so they can control it. And to take that one aspect of control away from a child is so incredibly fucked up. I'm just beyond baffled. I really hope that the husband fucking divorces her. You could give Disney villains a run for their money. Holy shit, you're the asshole. Yeah. At least most Disney villains realize what they're doing is wrong. Yeah. You're the asshole. You did this without the child's parents' knowledge or consent. You did it without the child's consent. If the routine was causing problems for you, you should have talked to your husband, not arbitrarily decided that you get to choose her hair length. Your husband is right. He can't trust you with her. Be prepared for a divorce. Yeah. You're the asshole, 1000%. You stripped a little girl of her pride and joy because you're not a morning person without consulting her or her parents. No wonder her dad's thinking of divorcing you. Yeah. You're the asshole, and I hope you enjoy single life. If I was your husband, I would have signed the divorce papers so fast after this. Yep. I would have been like, get the fuck out of my house. Quote, she uses a wide tooth comb, which takes a long time to brush when she could be doing other more productive things, such as homework or helping me with chores, end quote. Wow, she could be more productive and work in a mall or even go to church. Do you have any more arguments why people can't have pretty things or do things they care about? Quote, I decided she'd become obsessed with her hair, end quote. Even more wow. So you decided her intention is exactly the way, reread. Wow. Even more wow. So you decided her intention is exactly in the way that you could totally ignore her autonomy and make decisions for her? How convenient. Quote, I didn't mean her any harm. I was just so tired and I'm trying to reduce stress, end quote. You were frontally abusive. Stop bullshitting yourself that you didn't mean any harm. As you knew that she didn't consent, you forced that dumb hairdresser who shouldn't have agreed at all. Now make a toast to how much stress you reduced for everyone. You're the asshole big time. And that poor girl, now she knows what it feels like when someone breaks her will and character. Yeah. I've noticed an increase in no consent, no cut policies in some salons. If the one OP dragged her stepdaughter, I'm so sorry, I can't read today. If the one OP dragged her stepdaughter to has one, and depending on how firm the owner is about that policy, the stylist could find herself terminated if the stepdaughter's parents go back and raise hell over the cut. You're the asshole. Obviously, I hope he leaves you because you don't deserve the privilege of being part of this child's life. What you did was abhorrent, and she would likely never forget it. Yeah, this will likely be a memory she has forever. She's 11, you know. She's not, 5. It still wouldn't be okay, but at least at 5, it's probably not going to be a core memory, you know. This is absolutely going to be a core memory that she thinks about every time she fucking looks at you. You took away her bodily autonomy, you betrayed her trust and your husband's trust. Doing chores and helping around the house is not more important than her caring for herself and her hair. Please update us after the divorce. Yeah. I hope this is fake, because if my daughter or son's stepdad did this shit, I would be going for full custody. What is your problem? Are you jealous of an 11-year-old? You knew what you were doing was wrong. You're the asshole. Are you jealous of her hair? You listed off products that are over $10. Most basic decent hair products cost well over that. Just because you don't care for your own hair properly doesn't mean you should force your stepdaughter to use shitty product. Add on the fact that your husband said he would have gladly taken care of her hair in the morning since it's such a burden for you, tells me that you never even brought it up to him. You just decided one day that you were going to make her suffer. Yeah, someone said, when she said fancy oil, I was assuming a $30 plus oil. The one I use is $42 Canadian dollars a bottle. And curly hair requires a lot more in terms of product and maintenance. This woman is truly awful, and I hope this is fake. I had no hair autonomy with my mother, and it's led to a lifetime of struggling. Currently, in yet another internal hair struggle with myself. That poor kid. Stepmom reminds me of my own mom with hair. Massive, you're the asshole, OP. You're the asshole. This was done to me as a child. I'm 46 now, and I'm still pissed. You don't see children as people, and you certainly don't respect your stepdaughter. Yeah. Someone replied to that saying, a hairstylist did this to me around 1980. My parents left me in the chair to get a trim and ran to the grocery store next door to grab something, which was pretty typical at that time and considered safe. The stylist cut all my long hair off to a boy's short cut. I was devastated then, and it still bothers me now. I was like 5 years old at the time. My parents said I refused to let anyone see me without a hat on until it had grown significantly, and they had a problem with school because hats weren't allowed. They made an exception when I kept crying, I guess. I just know I refused to talk to any kids and wouldn't make friends because I was so humiliated. I bet an 11-year-old would find it even more traumatic. Yeah. Ridiculous. Wait. You're really coming to ask this? You know full good and well you're the asshole here. You took someone's child and unilaterally decided that you wanted them to have a hairstyle of your liking. I'm sorry, but that's such a crock of entitled bullshit. You deserve everything that's coming to you for this. I wouldn't be surprised to see divorce papers in your future. You've crossed so many lines here, it's unreal. Yeah. This might be one of the biggest assholes I've seen on here, actually. Like, that I've actively read. Like, I've seen bigger ones in, like, watching other people read Am I the Asshole posts. But I think this might be the biggest one that I've personally read. How dare you traumatize this child because of your laziness? You are a monster. Yeah. Why didn't she talk to the child's mother? The mother is clearly involved in the child's life. She came and picked the daughter up when called, and the mother is probably the one who taught the daughter the correct way to care for her wavy hair. A lesson that the stepdaughter tried to pass on to evil stepmother, but stepmother was too ignorant and narrow-minded to actually listen and learn. That's what burns the most, the harm done. In the harm done, the little girl knew exactly how to care for her hair appropriately in a way that would address every complaint that the stepmother had about tangles and pain when using an evil to wavy curly hairbrush. The lack of respect to the girl's expertise in this problem is appalling. She told me, quote, she told me how to care for her hair, but I don't want to listen to a child who knows what she is talking about, so I'll attack her with scissors and mutilate her hair as she cries from rage and frustration, end quote, is more than an ample reason for the husband to divorce her and for the girl's mother to apply for sole custody and an order of protection for her daughter against the stepmother. Which makes me think the stepmother might be trying to drive the daughter away in hopes of having the father to herself and her household without any other woman's daughter staying there to spend time with her father. There's so many things wrong with this, dude. If this was my child, you'd be out of the house before the day was over. Yep. Yep. Fully agree. Yep. Even if she'd popped that kid out herself, if I came home to this situation, that my wife would be out of the house so fast, she wouldn't even have time to pack up her own shit. First of all, I would never marry someone who would ever do anything like that. But on the off chance that it happened, get out of my house. Or if it's her house, I'm taking the kid and we're going somewhere else. It's not happening. That's not okay. Okay. Here's a good one. This might be the last one. I don't really want to do this for a whole nother hour, so this might be the last one. It's a long one. Longer one, because it has an update. But we'll see. We might do one more after this. We'll see. We're going to end in about 15 minutes. All right. Am I the asshole for telling my fiance my daughter has to be in our wedding? I, 45 male, have a daughter, who we will call P, from a previous relationship. I divorced my ex-wife on good terms, and we share 50-50 custody of P. She is now 11. After I divorced my ex-wife, I met my now fiance, S. S and my daughter got along very well. After 5 years in my relationship, with S, I proposed. S was super excited and wanted to start planning right away. She looked at venues and started asking her friends to be her bridesmaids. Then she told me she wanted her niece to be a flower girl, which I had no problem with, but I said I also wanted P to be a flower girl. S looked at me funny and then said that she didn't think that P would, quote, fit the part. I got angry and told S that my daughter would be in our wedding. S started to become upset and said that the girls in the wedding were up to her and P wouldn't be one of them. I told S that if P wasn't in the wedding, then there might not be a wedding. I stormed out and took P to get ice cream. Yeah? The fuck? So, your fiance doesn't want her stepdaughter in the wedding. And it's not even like it's a child-free wedding. If it was a child-free wedding, then sure. But there are other children going to be there, as she wants her niece to be the flower girl. Maybe you don't go through with this marriage. The fuck? P knows that we are getting married and told me she thinks she will look pretty in whatever dress S decides she should wear. This broke my heart and I decided to text S. I told her that I would be staying at a friend's to think this over. My mother-in-law texted me saying that I overreacted and that my daughter doesn't have to be in my wedding, and I was an ass for saying that I would cancel. So did I take it too far saying I will cancel? Am I overreacting or just being a good dad? No, you're being a good dad. That's fucked up. Your kid comes first. I'm sorry, but your kid comes first. Especially when they're 11 years old. You know, your kid absolutely comes first over your new fiance that's not even their parent. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? No. I think the only situation where your partner comes first, if it's like in the middle of birth, it's either your wife or your kid, you know? I feel like that's the only situation where it's your wife comes first. But in that situation, if that's like something that you know is a risk, that's something you talk about with your partner. But like, this isn't even that kind of a situation. This is fully just your new fiance being a fucking asshole, and excluding your child from your wedding. Like, no, not the asshole. The fuck? So we're going to read some comments and then we'll go to the update. This is a big red flag. If she doesn't want to include her stepdaughter in the wedding, then don't expect that she will include your daughter in her life. Yeah. Not the asshole. Props to you for standing up for your daughter. That's exactly what a good dad should do. Your fiance is trying to diminish your daughter's role in your wedding. I'd be concerned that that'll carry over to other parts of your life too. Whatever bullshit she means by her not, quote, fitting the part sends up huge red flags to me too. I have kids. This would be a deal breaker for me. Yeah, it would be for me too. It would be a deal breaker for me too. Oh, hold on. I got a text from Max. Hold on. Okay, time for the update. Alrighty. To answer a few questions, my daughter is not disabled, chubby, or having an awkward phase. I did ask if P could be a groomsman. S immediately shot me down. S is 39. She's the same race as my daughter. This is her first marriage. I tried to answer as many comments as possible. Okay, so just getting all of the, like, any reasoning why the fiance might be trying to exclude the daughter. Is it racism? Is it blah? Is it blah? Is it blah? So that kind of covered all of that. Okay. I came home to talk to S today. When I pulled into our driveway, my mother-in-law was sitting there in her car. I got out and went inside trying to avoid mother-in-law. S was sitting at the kitchen table and I joined her. She sat in silence, so I asked the first question. Why does P not fit the part, and why don't you want her in the wedding at all? Her answer full-on shocked me. She quietly said, I was hoping that after the wedding you could become a holiday visit-only dad. I didn't want her in the wedding so she wouldn't be in the photos around the house since she wasn't going to be around much. I kept my cool, calmly took her hand and pulled my engagement ring off. Her eyes started to tear up. She said we wouldn't end the marriage over this, that we shouldn't end the marriage over this, and that she can change. I told her the damage was already done. I told her I wanted her things moved out by next week, and that she could come get them when my daughter wasn't home. The house is in my name, and I paid for it. I was allowing her to get her furniture that she paid for. She stormed out, and mother-in-law came knocking on the door saying I was being unreasonable. I could not imagine only seeing my daughter 3 or 4 times a year. The fact that S wanted me to give up part of my custody blew me away. I'm sitting on my couch just in shock. Our honeymoon was supposed to be in Hawaii. Looks like me and P will be going instead. I will update it if anything happens. He fully said, wrong button. No. Why? No. I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. The struggle is real. He fully threw her in the bin, and I am honestly so glad that he did, because it was already a red flag, but then the fact that she outright stated, I want you to become a holidays-only parent. Like, excuse you? What the fuck? Absolutely not. Also, have a fantastic time in Hawaii with your kid. I hope it is a fun vacation, and I think that is a vacation that kid will absolutely enjoy the fuck out of, even if it's happening for sad reasons. 8 days ago, yeah. Holy shit, first things first. You're an amazing father. Good on you for having P's back. Second, your ex-fiance is an absolute witch. Like, how big is her bag? It must have been massive to hold all that audacity. She really wanted to take your daughter out of your life and replace it with whatever family you two decided to have. You did well by keeping calm. My anger issues could never. Holiday only, meaning he would only get to see her for, like, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, things like that. Like, he would only get custody for the kid on holidays. And for holidays, and the rest of the year she would be with her mom. It's exactly what it sounds like. Which is generally the form of custody that a parent who doesn't want to be a parent takes. And that clearly is not this guy. Third, I know it hurts and you're likely in shock, but know that you did the right thing. Surround yourself and pee with people who love and support you, and take comfort in the fact that you dodged a massive bullet. Yeah. This made me realize that he's going to have to figure out how to have this conversation with his daughter. What would you even tell your kid after that? It sounded like his daughter really looked up to her too. I'm sure this will be crushing for her. Quote, I found out that my fiance isn't as loving as I thought she was. I believe I can do better. And even if I can't, I know that I don't want to be with someone who misrepresented who they are. For right now, I'm going to be single and do some focused thinking about what I want in a partner for me and a stepmom for you. Yeah, that would be a great way to say it. They are both bamboozled, so saying so is just facts. Yeah. You're a great dad and you deserve better. It hurts, but better to know now than down the line after you were married. Sending all the love to you and your daughter. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that. If you don't want to be a fucking mom, then don't get with someone who has a kid. It's that simple. Like if I didn't want kids and was completely opposed to having kids, then I wouldn't be willing to date someone who had kids already. Like that's pretty basic ass logic. Like that's some pretty basic stuff. P is gonna fucking love Hawaii. Get all the Dole Whip and snorkeling in, and if you go to the big island, swim with the manta rays at night. Don't miss that. Thanks for the suggestion. I will look into it. Someone said, just so you're aware, P is old enough to get scuba certified with you. The minimum age is 10. I'd love to go to Hawaii someday, but knowing that the locals don't want people coming there makes me kind of sad because it means that I won't be going. Not just because I can't afford it, but like the natives of Hawaii don't want tourists there and don't like it when tourists come. So it is what it is. I get it. Makes sense. Wow, she's even worse than I thought. Of course you did the right thing. Someone as cruel as that isn't someone you want in your life. Even if you didn't have kids, I'd make sure you or someone else was there when she comes to get her stuff. I would also immediately replace the locks, or at least get a locksmith to rekey them. OP said, I called the guy. He's coming Tuesday morning. Yeah. Side note, counseling may be useful for P, not saying she needs it, but there is going to be a lot to process. Yeah. You made the right decision by calling it off. You put your daughter first like a good parent should. You and your daughter are so much better off without someone like that in your lives. I love the idea of your little one still getting a pretty dress to surprise you with. Maybe take her to dinner somewhere. Make her feel like the special little lady she obviously is, even if McDonald's isn't her restaurant of choice, lol. Might I suggest discussing with your ex-wife how best to tell your daughter about the breakup? Stepmother was around for almost half her life. It will be a big adjustment. You did the right thing for your family. Best of luck to you and your little girl. Yeah, luckily she showed her true colors before the wedding. Absolutely. Like, what the fuck? What a horrible person. Talk about antisocial. Shocking, but try and not show too much drama to your daughter so she can just accept the superficial story of the woman being a nutcase and enjoy her life with you in good memories. A girl's most important relationship is with her father. Disagree, but, you know. Edit, please think about how much you tell your ex-wife and get a plan together if she's the type. She shouldn't be getting all dramatic with your daughter. Even tell her about this. Oh my god, I knew she never liked you. OP says, trust me, she knows the whole situation. She's glad I got out of it and is helping me protect P from S reaching out. Yeah. It seems like his ex-wife and him aren't on, like, bad terms or anything. He might have said that in the original post, actually. I divorced my wife on good terms, and we share 50-50 custody. Yeah, so it seems like they're co-parenting still. Like, he and the ex-wife are co-parenting. like co-parenting as exes. Like, it still seems, since he said they divorced on good terms and stuff like that, like, it seems they're definitely still a team, even if they're not a married team. So, you know, you disagree with me that a daughter's most important relationship is with her father. I disagree. I think a daughter's most important relationship is the one she has with her parents, either parent or any parent. I think a girl's most important relationship is just the one with her parents, especially while she's still a kid. It doesn't matter which parent, ideally with both parents. I don't think one parent is more important than the other when it comes to the relationship with their child. I think the most important relationship you can have is the one with your child. So for the dad, his most important relationship in his life is his daughter. So I think that's how I think. That's how I think about it, not the other way around. Because, like, a girl's relationship with her mother is also really fucking important. You know what I mean? I don't think there is a more important parent to have. So... It is so crazy that for 5 years she faked liking your daughter with the goal of getting rid of her after you guys got married. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wild. Oh, hell no. Are you for real with this shit? Like, who does that? Who looks at a man straight in the face, a man she's been with for 5 years, a man she knows how he is with his daughter, and says she thought you'd kick your daughter to the curb, and she was surprised when you slipped that ring off her finger and called off the wedding, with the whole damn relationship, and her own mama rushed up to try to defend her? Just damn. Honestly. Also, pawn the ring and put the money from the ring into, like, a college fund or something for the kid. My mom had 2 kids already when she met my dad. This was back in the 60s. She straight up told him that she comes with 2 boys, and if he can't love and treat them like his own flesh and blood, he could get to steppin' because she didn't have time for that mess. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If you have kids and you're a single parent, your kids come first. Your kids come first anyways, but your kids are more important than the person you might meet in the future. If that person can't accept your kids as their own, then they're not worth your time. It's pretty fucking simple. Well, the good news is you didn't marry her, and your daughter will get to go to Hawaii. I hope you two have a wonderful time and go on lots of adventures. Maybe he can get a dress for P since she was looking forward to a dress for the wedding. Just because there was no wedding doesn't mean she can't get a new dress. This is true. A fancy dress for a fancy dinner in Hawaii, yeah. The fact that she hid this plan and feelings from you for 5 years is chilling. She's been a part of your daughter's life for almost half of it, and seeing your relationship with her this whole time and still imagined you'd somehow sub her in instead of P once you were married. I'm so sorry for the pain you must be going through. Please find a way to explain the situation to P that doesn't lead her to blame herself. Kids tend to do that. Enjoy Hawaii with P. You're an amazing dad, and someday you'll find someone who will cherish both of you and respect your relationship. Exactly. Exactly. If I get to be with a woman that has a kid, that child is going to be as good as mine, even when they know I'm not their biological father. Exactly. Same here. As someone who will most likely end up in that situation at some point, as I have no issue with having kids in the future and can't make my own kids, that's my exact view. Like, if I fall for someone and they have kids, guess what? Those are my fucking kids now. Like, that's how they're going to be treated, as if they are from me, you know? because they are now. I am in love with their mother, and so, and if their mother has kids, then those kids are a package deal. That's how that works. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Oh, sweet. Okay, we leave it 2.5 weeks. I'll make an update if she likes it. Not a lot of replies. Let's see. No sleep. My first post was made at 5 a.m. The second made at 8 p.m. I couldn't sleep worrying about the relationship. I understand why some people might think it's fake, I guess. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Oh, I don't find streaming boring in any capacity. I found YouTube got boring after a little bit, but streaming still is not boring and is a nice thing to have as like a as something to do on my time off. I was actually talking with Max last night. We called probably at least every other day, if not every day. And if not for a few minutes. Max and I usually call on my drive to work. So we talk for like 15-20 minutes on my drive to work 3 times a week at the very least. But we were talking last night, and I mentioned we were talking about like how I have no issue with not being the breadwinner in my relationships. So like if I end up with a woman who has kids and makes a fuck ton of money and she wants me to be a stay-at-home dad, that I'd have absolutely no problem with that. I would be the best stay-at-home dad you could ever fucking ask for. I'd learn to cook. I already know how to clean. Like I'd be the best fucking stay-at-home dad you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like and also streaming would be something to do when the kids are asleep or the kids are busy, or I could stream while the kids play over there, or whatever. Like I could still have something to do with any free time I might have, although stay-at-home parents don't tend to have a lot of free time. But depending on the age of the kids, I'd need something to do, whether they're taking a nap or whether they're teenagers and don't need me to be around them 24/7, and so I don't imagine stopping streaming anytime soon. So, there will always be more games to play and always more Reddit to read. So, I will never run out of content when it comes to streaming. But that will be all for today. I know I usually stream until 6, but I don't feel like streaming it anymore today. I need to go pick up my mail from the mailroom and get to I don't expect all streamers to bring around 24/7. Oh no, definitely not. Running late, shocking. Okay, yeah, the two items that I thought that said they were going to be here today, but I was like, I doubt it, have both changed their arrival days. The figurine I ordered says it's going to be here tomorrow, and the phone case Max accidentally said here just said it's running late, so it probably also won't be here tomorrow. So I need to go pick up my now expected July 18th through 19th. So dumb. It wouldn't let Max change the delivery location. So weird. But that means I can go on and go over there. Means I don't have to wait till later tonight. I wish I had a dolly. Then I could just use the dolly to roll it over here. I'll probably take the car though, because it's not a very flat walk, because there's construction and stuff. So I have to go around all the construction to walk over there and get it. So I'll probably just take my car over there, just even though it's like a block away. That will be it for today. I might do a night stream tomorrow night or Wednesday night. I'm not sure which night. I want to do a night stream this week. I just don't know which day it's going to be. It'll be either tomorrow or Wednesday though. It just kind of depends on if I end up building all the furniture tonight or not. But I'll let y'all know, of course. I'll keep you updated. But I'll have the normal stream tomorrow. We'll be doing Zelda all day tomorrow. And then we might do a full Reddit stream on Wednesday. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I'm vibing with when we get there. Because as we know, I'm very much a in-the-moment decision maker. Have a good sleep. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Goodbye.